how many quilts are lying on your pile of WIPs. Today I'm sharing my 5 steps to turn your quilt top into an amazing finished quilt. Stay tuned for my 101 quilt ideas for straight line quilting. Hi there, my name is Irene and you are watching the Sugaridoo channel. Sugaridoo is all about happy crafty projects for quilting and crochet. And yes, for those of you who've been watching my videos more often, I did cut my hair. I've had long hair for almost all of my life, so it was time for a change. And I like this new hairstyle so much. I can even still braid it. But that is not what this video is about. Last week I posted a video about all my WIPs, and I was a bit shocked that I have so many of them. But apparently I'm not the only one, and a lot of crafters have a lot of crafty projects on their hands. And one of the things I hear so often around me is that quilt tops are piling up, forming WIP mountains, just because we can't decide on how to quilt them. So here's my 5-step plan that will definitely help with that. Step 1. Take a good look at your quilt top. There are probably clues in there which can help you decide on the quilting. Let me give some examples. What is the scale of your quilt top? Is the design of your quilt top a bigger one? Then maybe you could go with a smaller overall quilt pattern, like I did on this owly mini quilt. The owl is a big quilt block, so it takes all the attention, and I think that goes really well with the smaller crossed straight line quilting pattern. The mini over there, let me show you, has more detail to it, so the blocks are smaller, but again I went for a pretty small overall quilt design. With this one I just paid attention to the size of the blocks. Let's take this doggy for example. I'm going to put this in an illustration for you, but when you take this doggy and you do, for example, just straight line quilting in 2 directions, when you cross the doggy only once or twice, it really gives a different look than when you cross it multiple times like I did in this one. Because I use an overall pattern that is quite a lot smaller than the figures in the mini quilt, it really blends everything together. And I think it just gives a really nice overall look to this quilt. So, on a big design, big quilting is fine. But small quilting can also look great. And on a smaller design, small quilting can be awesome to blend everything together. So remember, there are no hard rules here. Another way to look at your quilt to choose a quilt design is to see if there are lines in your quilt that you want to put the focus on. In this mini quilt over here with the bunny, I have a lot of negative space. And the design was made like that to put the focus on the bunny. And I wanted to do that also in the quilting. So I chose to echo around the bunny with straight lines. This really accentuates the geometric forms of the bunny. I'm planning to make a video where I go more in depth on how to quilt the lines around the bunny like this. But the basic things are that I just use the width of my foot, so that's the space between the lines. And then I use the fabric marker to point out the lines by using a ruler away from all the corners in the quilt. And those blue lines, they point out the location of where I need to turn to make the angle in the quilting line. I chose to put the quilting lines pretty close together, and that's totally fine because this is a mini quilt, so I do like the sturdier feel of the quilt itself. But when I would have made this design into a larger quilt to put over your bed or to cuddle under on the couch, then I would have separated the lines with more space apart. Because the further away you put your quilting lines, the softer and smoother the quilt will feel. When your quilt consists of squares or rectangles or triangles, you can always choose to stitch in a ditch, which means to stitch on the seams between the patches of your patchwork. Or you can choose to stitch just a little bit next to those stitches. This can really bring out the design of your quilt. In this quilt, I chose to do just straight line quilting with a little wiggle every now and then. But this would be a design that you could easily stitch in the ditch. So you could go over the triangles of the roofs of the houses and then also over the squares. And that will give a nice pop to all the houses. But like for every quilt, there are many different options from which you can choose. Which brings me to step number 2. Get your copy of my latest ebook, 101 Designs for Straight Line Quilting. It's a free ebook and you can find the link to download in the description of this video below, and also in the link that will pop up, I guess, over here on the screen. So after you downloaded the book, you go through the book with a specific quilt in mind. Just go through all the designs and then focus on what quilt design resonates with you. What quilt design matches your idea of your quilt top. Maybe you have a top 3 after going through all the 101 designs. And that's great, because 3 designs is so much better than having no idea where to start from. Step number 3. The most important step. Make a choice. Don't be indecisive. Just don't let yourself go over and over and over again wondering what design should I choose. Just pick one that feels comfortable for you, or pick one that feels like a challenge and makes you excited to try something new. Making a choice at this point and not going to change your mind afterwards is going to feel so good, because making a choice means you can finally start quilting. Which brings us to step number 4. Go start quilting. You've picked a design you want to quilt, so now go get your favorite thread and hop behind your sewing machine. For quilting my quilts, I almost always use Gutermann white thread. That just kinda suits everything I make. I think it's a safe option to go with the color of the background of your quilt when you don't know what kind of color you want to use in your quilting. Or just take one of the colors of your quilt, like I did in the aqua red quilt with the little houses, which was one of the first quilts I made. And I could have gone for a white thread because the backing fabric is white, but I think I just felt brave and went for blue, which turned out lovely. In this tulip quilt, I also used colored thread. Let me show you. So you see here that I use a lot of different colors in the stitches. And that turned out really cute because there are some color pops over here and around the border. And all those colored stripes just help blend in all the colors of the tulips. Then step 5. And this may sound very silly, but when you're halfway through your quilt, just be brave and continue quilting. Because you might have some hesitation and you might have some doubt if you did choose the right quilt design. But you know, the only way you can get better is practice, practice, practice. It is just not fair to expect from yourself that your very first quilt or your second quilt or your third quilt is going to be the best quilt in the world. Of course you don't want to mess up your beautiful quilt top that you just finished by choosing the wrong quilt design. But here's the thing, I don't believe that there is such thing as a wrong quilt design. Of course, one could suit your quilt top better than the other, but you're never going to learn and you're never going to find out if you don't start quilting. So go and quilt your quilts. Done is so much better than perfect. And your kids or your friends and family, they cannot cuddle under a quilt that's still full of pins and that's not finished yet. And one other reason to stick with your quilt design and finish your quilt is that a finished project makes room for a new project. A new project where you can pick out new fabrics, a new design, and try out a different quilting design. The 1st of October, I am going to start a movement to finish our whips. Who is with me? Put it in your calendar to check out the Sugaridoo blog or Sugaridoo Instagram on the 1st of October. I have something really fun in mind and I would love you all to join me. So that are my 5 steps to finish your quilt. Let me summarize that for you. Step number 1, take a good look at your quilt top. Step number 2, go and check out those 101 quilt designs to get your creative juices flowing. Step 3, which was the most important step, go make a choice. Step 4, start quilting. Step 5, continue and finish that quilt. I'm so super happy that you joined me today in this video. I'm so excited about this free ebook that I've put together. I would love to hear what you think about it. Give a thumbs up if this video helped you in any kind of way. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Thank you for all the support. I really hope to see you next week in a new video. Bye bye!